Chakaleshwar Mahadev, he's in Manasi Ganga. And Sanatana Goswami Pad, he had a very intimate relationship with Lord Shiva. So he's showing us, who is Sanatana Goswami? He's the Sambandha Acharya. He's teaching us how to develop a strong foundation in Krishna consciousness, how to develop a relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. A relationship is basically service. Service expands into appreciation expands into attachment, and attachment fructifies in prema. So this sambandha, this relationship, is established by knowledge, by Guru Kripa, and by surrender, Sharanagati, surrender to Guru, surrender to Sri Nam Prabhu, and surrender to the Shastras, accepting and believing and having faith in the Vedic Shastras and teachings, and in the Holy Name, and in Guru, Yasyadeve Para Bhaktir Yadadeve Tataguru. One who has faith, implicit and irrevocable faith in the spiritual master and in the Vedas and all the secret teachings contained within the heart of Guru, and all the essence and the essential siddhanta of the Shastras will be revealed in the heart of such a pure-minded and faithful disciple. So, Chakaleshwar, he is the deity of Lord Shiva residing there, and Sanatana Goswami, he would stay there, do his bhajan there, and worship Lord Shiva. So he's showing us, as a Sambandhacharya, that Shiva worship is very important. It's very important at all stages of life, from Sambandha to Abhideya to Prayojana, to beginning to establish a relationship with Krishna, to cultivate our service relationship, and to attain the perfection of our service, which is Krishna Prema. Because lastly, we'll hear about the gopis. So the gopis, of course, they're perfected, they're eternal associates of the Lord, but they're showing us also the relationship of Lord Shiva to the Prayojana Tattva. Prayojana Tattva is the goal of life, which is pure love of Godhead. So they're showing that. So Sanatana Goswami would stay there and do bhajan and go around Govardhan Hill every day. Then sometimes he was being disturbed over there by the mosquitoes at Manasi Ganga, because there's a watery area, lots of mosquitoes over there. So he was thinking, I'm going to leave this place. I'll go somewhere else and do my bhajan. I'll go to Pavan Sarovar, I'll go to Dwadasaditya Tila, to Vrindavan, I'll go somewhere else. So then Lord Shiva came there, and a Brahmin, he was disguised as a Brahmana. And he said, "Oh, Sanatan, oh, Baba, please don't go from here. I like very much you're staying here and doing this puja. It's very nice that you're doing this puja to Lord Shiva, and you're doing your bhajan here, you're benefiting everyone here. And please don't go, because don't worry, all the mosquitoes will go away from here. This will be a mosquito-free zone." One of those signs with a mosquito with an X on it, red, sign, no mosquitoes. So he said, okay, fine. So he stayed there, and he did his bhajan there. And of course, in Vrindavan, when Sanatana Goswami lived at Dwadasaditya Tila, on top of the hill by the Yamuna, with Madan Mohan, every day he would take darshan of Gopishwar Mahadev, every single day, and do his puja there. So Sanatana Goswami, every day he would take darshan of Gopishwar and offer so many prayers and do puja there. Then he was becoming a little old, and so then Lord Shiva, he was on his way, because it's a little bit of distance, Dwadasaditya Tila to Gopishwar Mahadev. So he was walking slowly. It was all forested area. It wasn't like, get a rickshaw or something like that. It was all forest and big trees, and Sanatana Goswami was walking. So one day Mahadev appeared to him, and he said, "Sanatana Baba," again he appeared. He said, "You don't have to go so far. Why you go so far? I'm here. I'm right here. You can just come here and do your puja here." So that form of Lord Shiva is known as Bankandi Mahadev. And so that deity is considered to be a self-manifest deity of Lord Shiva. Now the other deities we mentioned, Lord Shiva, the Shiva lingas that we worship, they were all installed 5,000 years ago by Bhadranath. Kameshwar, Bhuteshwar, Pipaleshwar, Gopeshwar. So they're very, very old deities, and of course very, very powerful. They have all the power of Lord Shiva. But this particular Bankandi Mahadev, he appeared about 450 years ago to Sanatana Goswami. So it's called self-manifested. The linga just appeared out of the forest. At least that's how it's told. So he's a very merciful deity also, Bankandi. He's you could say, just like Giriraj is Krishna, Giridhari, but he's more merciful as Haridas Varya, because the devotee is more merciful than the Lord. So there's Gopishwar Mahadev, who's also merciful. Lord Shiva is so merciful because he's a devotee. But then he expands in a more merciful form. It's Bankandi Mahadev. So it's like, it's a kind of an interesting tattva to think about, that he's already so merciful that the gopis used to go and worship Lord Shiva in Gopishwar form. But then 500 years ago he wanted to extend more mercy, so he expanded the mercy. He's one form as Gopishwar, but then he becomes... So Bankandi Mahadev is, at least from my viewpoint of this pastime, is that he's a merciful expression of Gopishwar. Because Sanatana Goswami is going to take darshan of Gopishwar and worship Gopishwar for Braja Prem and showing us the example, because he's a Sambandhacharya. So that means he's going to teach us the ABCs of spiritual life, and of course, XYZs also. Everything Sanatana Goswami can reveal. Through the worship of Madan Mohan, we get free from attraction to Cupid, Madan, and we become overwhelmed and enchanted by the beautiful, sweet flute and form and love and pastimes of Krishna in the form of Madan Mohan. And by worshipping Lord Shiva as Sanatana Goswami, we can become fixed in Brajnishta. We can live in Vrindavan in a humble way and an appreciative way of all the Vaishnavas, and we can progress happily and quickly on the path of Prema Bhakti. So this is all what Sanatana Goswami is teaching us. So he's going to Gopishwar to teach all these things to the sadhakas, and also for his own relationship, because Gopishwar, where Gopishwar is situated, that's the entrance to the Rasa Lila. So Sanatana Goswami as Labanga Manjari has so much service in the Rasa Lila and the Rasastali. So Brahmakund, Govindastali, then north of Govindastali, or Radha Govinda Mandir, is Brahmakund, and north of Brahmakund is the gate or the entranceway to Vamshivat, or the Rasastali, Rasmandala, and that place north of Brahmakund is Gopishwar Mahadev's place, or Gopishwar Tirtha. Then north of that is Vamshivat, and the Jamuna Pulin, and Dir Shamir, and Niruban, and Sevakunj, and all the beautiful places arrayed on the banks of the Yamuna where Krishna enacts this wonderful Rasa Lila with all his gopikas. So Sanatana Goswami, he was going there to do it, and then all of a sudden Lord Shiva says, no, look, so he's so merciful. He's so merciful, so we can appreciate how Lord Shiva interacts with the devotee's desire. You want to worship him, and he approaches you. In other words, you take one step towards Krishna, he takes 10 steps towards you, as Prabhupada used to say. You just, a little bit go towards Krishna, and he comes to you in such a big way. Even though we're not very sincere, we're not very surrendered, we're not very dedicated, whatever little bit of sincerity we can muster up, and whatever dedication we can pretend to show, and whatever surrender we can pretend to show, or pretend to feel, Krishna accepts that like anything and just showers so much blessings and mercy and fortune upon us that we can never repay the great debt of his kindness. We're forever grateful to the Lord and his mercy. So Sanatana Goswami, that's Bankandi Mahadev, so we can often visit there and attain the mercy of Gopishwar. If we don't have time, maybe we're just doing some other activities in Loy Bazaar, so we don't have time to go see Gopishwar, so we can, as I say in England, pop in. We can pop in to see Bankandi Mahadev. Bankandi Mahadev ki!
Hey.
So now we've come to last but not least of the Shiva links, Gopishwar Mahadev. And Gopishwar Mahadev is so merciful and so kind to all the devotees. Prabhupada, interestingly enough, there are in 2 different places in Prabhupada's books he talks about Gopishwar Mahadev in his purports. He says in Vrindavan there's a temple of Lord Shiva, famous temple of Lord Shiva known as Gopishwar Mahadev, and devotees go there and worship. I think this one book here has something about it. This is a quote from the 4th canto of Bhagavatam, chapter 30, verse 38 purport. It was exactly what I was recalling to some extent. Prabhupada said, in Vrindavan, the Gopishwar Mahadev temple is dedicated to Lord Shiva's pastime of appearing as a gopi. Although Lord Shiva is represented here in the form of a linga deity, Gopishwar Mahadev is particularly important because of his intimate relationship with Sri Krishna's Madhurya Ras. I mean, there's lots of things in Prabhupada's books, actually. Well, we just kind of read them. It's just like our eyes are like little, tennis ball or something. Our eyes are just bouncing. This is like the pavement, or the tennis court, and our eyes just pop, 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 and then we turn the page, pop, pop. Our eyes just bounce over the pages. We don't actually penetrate, absorb, realize, understand, and apply the esoteric teachings offered within the pages of Srila Prabhupada's books. Gopeshwara Mahadev is particularly important because of his intimate relationship with Sri Krishna's Madhurya Ras. Gopeshwara Mahadev is always guarding Govindaji's sacred yoga pit. The gopis also worship Lord Shiva in Vrindavan, and the Lord is still staying there as Gopeshwara. The gopis, however, prayed that Lord Shiva bless them by giving Lord Krishna as their husband. There is no harm in worshipping demigods, provided one's aim is to return home, back to Godhead. Prabhupada's further purport, Canto 4, Chapter 7, Verse 10. If anyone sees Lord Shiva with devotion and reverence, his heart is immediately cleansed. Pavitra Darshan, Vaishnava Pavitra Darshan, Narottam Das explains in one song, Ganga Parasa Hoili Snan. After repeated bathing in the Ganga, in the Ganges River, in the Ganga, bathing time and time again, one will become purified of their sins. But simply by a darshan, pavitra darshan of a Vaishnava, actually a purely situated Vaishnava, just by seeing that person once, you become purified of your sins. So of the two, the Ganges, the Ganga or the Vaishnava is glorified more than the Ganga. There's more power in the darshan of the devotee than there is in the bathing in the Ganga. What to speak of the Vaishnavanam Yatashambhu, darshan Lord Shiva is bahut pavitra, very much purifying. A Vaishnava's visit to Shiva temple is different than a non-devotee's visit. A Vaishnava sees Lord Shiva as being simultaneously one with and different from the Lord, Supreme Lord, like yogurt and milk. For this reason, Mahaprabhu and his followers visited all the temples of the demigods, but they did not see them in the way that an impersonalist sees them. Everyone should follow the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and visit all temples. Chaitanya Madhya Lila, Chapter 9, Verse 360, purport. In the Adi Varaha Purana, how can those who don't respect my foremost devotee, Lord Shiva, ever become devoted to me?